It's a calm night on the coast of Scotland, in the Sound. Three fishing boats slowly cross the bay, dragging their nets through the deep waters. From time to time, they pass each other in silence. Only the constant sound of the engines echoes in the cold air. On deck, captains watch the horizon carefully, while sailors struggle against the weight of the cables and the biting wind. But beneath the surface, something began to move. A silent sequence of events was unfolding, invisible to those working above. And for one of these boats, a simple turn of the rudder was about to change everything. This is the story of Antares. On the coast of Loch Ewe, Scotland, HMS Trenchant, a Trafalgar-class nuclear submarine, prepares for another day of training. At 82 meters long and with a crew of 120 men, it is one of the most powerful machines ever built by the Royal Navy. The sky is grey and heavy as 6 officers in training and their commander take position in the control room. They are participating in the famous Perisher course, the Navy's rigorous program that decides who is capable or not of commanding a submarine. The course lasts 24 weeks and is known for its extreme pressure and unforgiving standards. Only the most disciplined can complete it. The commander, responsible for the exercise, has more than 18 years of experience in submarines. At 41 years old, he remembers well when he was just another student on that same course. A decade ago, with everyone on board, the Trenchant leaves for its training zone, located between Scotland and the Faroe Islands. What was supposed to be just another routine simulation was about to turn into one of the most remarkable tragedies in British naval history. Over the next 4 days, HMS Trenchant remains at sea, conducting a series of complex simulations and navigation exercises. Each maneuver is a test of endurance and precision for the officers in training. The commander watches closely, evaluating every decision, every command, because inside a submarine, a single mistake can cost lives. Meanwhile, a few miles away in the small fishing village of Carradale, the clock strikes 11 p.m. The crew of the Antares, a wooden fishing boat, prepares for another day of work in the cold north. They load supplies, check the engines, and organize the nets for a 5-day trip. Their destination, the bottom of Deep Sound, an area known to local fishermen and one they have visited many times before. The Antares was built in 1965, measuring about 70 meters in length and crewed by 4 men. The 36-year-old captain is an experienced fisherman. He had bought the ship 3 years earlier and had been working on it ever since. For him and his crew, that night seemed like just another routine fishing trip. 2 other boats, the Heroine of Troon and the Argo Hercules, were also sailing in the same area, casting their nets under the same cloudy sky. None of them could have imagined what was about to happen in the silent waters of the Sound. Over the next few days, the boats move in and out of each other's sight, maintaining radio contact only as they approach each other. Antares occasionally explores different fishing areas, but repeatedly returns to the famous trench, where the catch is most plentiful. On the night of November 21st, conditions were ideal. Light winds, visibility of about 8 miles, and an air temperature of 11 degrees. The Antares makes a brief call to the port of Lars to unload some of the catch, before setting off again, in a hurry to take advantage of the favourable tide. At 5:30 p.m., the boat returns to the southern end of Deep Sound. The crew prepares their fishing lines, carefully positioning the boat, and begins towing their nets toward the northwest, unaware that that night would mark the beginning of a series of events that would test each of them. Ahead of them, in the darkness, the crew sees the Heroine also heading northwest. The captain of the Antares picks up the VHF radio and informs the captain of the Heroine that he intends to rest below deck for a while another crew member takes command of the boat. The 2 men exchange a few words before ending the communication with a firm "over and out." Meanwhile, the Incisivity team had already completed the first phase of its exercises in the North Sea and was returning south. The trip was beginning to take its toll. From 6 men, The team was now reduced to 4, each feeling the weight of the strenuous work and accumulated tension on deck. The ship headed towards the Clyde training area, now accompanied by the surface ship Charybdis. From that point on, his movements began to be accurately recorded in the logbook. At 11:30 p.m., the trenchant crew was tasked with executing a dummy mine deployment exercise near the Hunter Channel. The Charybdis would act as the opposing force, while the trenchant carried out a series of evasive maneuvers, testing its ability to avoid detection. The exercise was technically challenging, especially in a narrow, confined channel where every decision and every move could have immediate consequences. Upon completion of the exercise, both ships left the channel to practice mock attack scenarios in open waters. At 1:31 a.m., trenchants submerged to periscope depth to observe Charybdis during a simulated torpedo run. The captain on duty carefully surveyed the entire area and reported seeing only the warship, with no other contact in sight. The exercise continues for another 30 minutes. Being considered complete at 2 a.m., the trenchant then surfaced in 60 meters and set a northwesterly course towards the end of Arran, maintaining a constant speed of 6 knots. At this point, the course commander and captain retired to the infirmary to discuss the candidate's performance, while the duty captain handed over command to a newly assigned trainee. The Heroine, now towing northwest, passes everything moving in a southeast direction. About 10 minutes later, the Heroine's watch officer glances back. He notices the Hercules turning completely to starboard, heading back on a northwest course. Everything seems normal as he holds his gaze for a brief moment. Unaware of what's about to happen, at 2 a.m., the crews of the Heroine and the Hercules communicate via VHF. They note that the Antares is no longer visible to the naked eye or on radar, but they assume she has moved to another area, so no alarm is raised. Both vessels continue fishing. Beneath the surface, the watch officer aboard the trenchant orders a course change to 315° true north. Instantly, sonar contacts appear. Designated as M1, 3, 5, and 45 M1 is identified as the Charybdis, now leaving the area. Contact 5 is classified as a fishing vessel. Its signal is growing stronger, and its course is changing rapidly. The passive sonar doesn't give an exact range, but at 35 dB it suddenly seems alarmingly close. The watch captain orders a sharp turn to port. As the submarine's bow swings through the water, the sonar operator reports that contact 5 is now closing in rapidly, well within the required 2,000-yard exclusion zone. The watch officer eases the helm, hoping to reduce the closing rate, but it's already too late. At 2:19 a.m., the submarine shuts its doors just as a series of loud bangs echo through the control room. The sonar controller immediately reports a trawling obstruction. The submarine's engines are stopped as the trawl wires scrape along the metal hull of the trenchant. Through their headsets, sonar operators hear strange, disturbing noises. Among them, the sound of a propeller still turning. The duty captain rushes back to the control room and, amid the chaos, resumes command of the trenchant. For the 4 men aboard the Antares, the moments that follow are filled with terror and confusion. Everything is normal until, without warning, their trawl wires go taut. The vessel heels sharply, throwing the crew off balance as the trawl is yanked backward through the water. The violent force of the submarine dragging the gear causes the Antares to roll hard to starboard. Within seconds, seawater floods the open wheelhouse as the vessel begins to sink into the cold, dark sea. The skipper and 1 crewman struggle to escape. There's no time to send a mayday. In a final desperate effort, they try to start the engines and break free of the obstruction. Then they attempt to open the wheelhouse windows as the chaos of rushing water engulfs the boat. But tragically, it's too late. The Antares vanishes beneath the surface with all 4 crewmen still aboard. Shortly after, the trenchant rises to periscope depth. The captain carefully scans the waters and sees 2 trawlers fishing normally. Everything appears calm and as it should be. He radios the Charybdis, whose captain confirms that no alarm has been raised. Still uneasy, the trenchants Captain orders the submarine to surface for a full inspection. The crew quickly discovers pieces of steel wire and tangled chain wrapped around the submarine's tower, with no visible signs of distress on the surface. The incident was not yet fully realized. The trenchant's captain took time to assess the situation. All indications were that there were no vessels in immediate danger in the area. At 3:15 a.m., he radioed a report to the operations room in Fast Lane. Operators did not detect any distress calls, and the decision was made for the exercise to continue. 6 hours later, signs of a possible incident began to emerge. At 9 a.m., the alarm was officially raised, with reports of debris floating to the surface, now detected by other ships in the region. A helicopter crew was immediately dispatched and quickly located telltale signs of a crash. Fishing boxes and oil slicks visible from the air, confirming that something serious had occurred. At this point, the full extent of what had happened began to unfold, and a coordinated search and rescue operation was launched. After an intense day of searching, the RMAS Triador located a wreck on the seabed. The Antares was found lying at a depth of 150 meters, facing northeast and resting on her starboard side. Due to the depth, a team of saturation divers was deployed to investigate, quickly confirming that the wreck was indeed the Antares. In the following weeks, the vessel was gradually recovered, and once brought to the surface and dried, it was found to be largely intact. Electrical systems had been destroyed by seawater, but the hull and main structure remained mostly undamaged. The search for the fourth and final crew member continued, but sadly, recovery of the body was not possible for several months. The collision was attributed to failures in watchkeeping and situational awareness. The command team had not realized that the sonar contact was, in fact, between two surface vessels. Standing orders from the Royal Navy required submarines to maintain a minimum distance of 2,000 yards from fishing vessels, and that the captain be notified immediately if the submarine came within 4,000 yards of any surface contact. As a result of this tragic incident, significant changes were implemented. The mandatory separation distance between submarines and fishing vessels was increased to 3,000 yards, and submarines were required to surface during training exercises conducted near surface ships. For the crew and families of the Antares, however, these measures came too late. The wreck was displayed for 18 years at the Scottish Maritime Museum in Irvine, before finally being dismantled in 2008. Today, Carradale Harbour remains busy, with boats being readied and nets laid out. But looking east toward the Isle of Arran, a memorial plaque stands as a reminder of the Antares and her 4 crew members, a silent tribute to the courage and memory of those lost at sea. If you're drawn to true stories of the sea, mystery, and tragedy, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of these deep and moving tales.